Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nell's Parent Blog, where we are making an investment through planting seeds of faith, hope, and love. We are continuing our love tank as it pertains to our children and fueling their love tank by speaking their love languages. And so we talked about physical touch, but today we're going to talk about words of affirmation. And it's wonderful to touch your children and to continue to do that and encouraging them. So, what we do by encouraging them is we're actually instilling courage in them. And so, we want to do that in different ways by communicating their love language. And what fuels their love tank is the love language that they speak. And we first need to identify what love language they speak in order to fuel their love tank and to keep that love tank full. So today we're talking about words of affirmation. Have you ever heard the scripture or know the scripture, Psalms 18, verse 21? And it goes, the power of tongue, the power of life and death, the power of life and death is in the tongue. And this ancient Hebrew proverb is very true when it comes to children who communicates through words of affirmation. And so what we say as parents to children who their love language is words of affirmation is very, very vital to them. Touch, physical touch is great, but this words of affirmation to children that speak this language will let them feel that they are loved, they're being loved, and it also fill them up when we are affirming what they're doing or what they're saying. And so therefore communicating through words of affirmation kind of look different than physical touch because you could touch a child and but also we have to be able to be communicating at the same time and instilling encouraging words at the same time as well while we're touching them. And so what does that look like for a child that and how do you know that your child's love language is words of affirmation? Well, for me, what I've noticed with my kids and observed is that when I do acknowledge my child with my words, by what they're doing, or even catching them off guard and saying, oh, I noticed that you cleaned up your room and I noticed that you put your toys away. I'm so glad that you're doing those things. And if you notice that after a while your child will continue to do these things without needing a reminder, 9 times out of 10 your child love language is words of affirmation. And it's because they get the positive praise from you when you affirm what they're doing through your words. And so if you are not observing that, and you want to simplify and just make it easier for you on how to find out if words of affirmation is your child's love language, once again, this book, I encourage you to get this book because it really helps to be able to identify your child's love language. It is by Dr. Gary Chapman and Ross Campbell. No, I'm not getting any benefit financially or anything by advertising his book on my blog. I just find that it's a useful tool for parents, us as parents. And I've just seen the benefit from being able to know these things firsthand, and then I'm able to identify them when I see my child or my children, demonstrating their love language. I'm able to pinpoint what love language. I'm sorry, my hand just keeps knocking over this computer. to be able to pinpoint what love language that they display, and then to be able to fuel their love tank in that way. So this is why I say that if you get the book, it benefits you as a parent, so that way you're able to read the different types of love language, and then you're able to recognize it, and it won't become a guessing game. And so this is why I promote the book, not because they're helping me in any way with promoting it on my blog. But back to words of affirmation. So as far as my child goes, you know, that's pretty much how I've recognized that that's his love language, because when he carry out or he's doing certain things positively, I acknowledge it with my words. And even if he's not doing it to be recognized, he's just doing it because that's just him being himself. Like, for instance, the other day, he was just coloring at the table, and he made a picture for his sister, and he wanted it to be a surprise for her, I'm assuming, because he quietly went to her room and put it on her wall by her bed. And he said that he wanted her to see it when she goes in her room for bedtime. So with me saying, oh, good job, but saying, you know what, that is so thoughtful of you to make a picture and to want to surprise her. You know, that is such a caring thing to do and a thoughtful thing to do. And, you know, just those words encourage my child, and what can encourage your child as well, to continue to think of others and to be mindful, and just even the way that they treat others, and just like that it doesn't have to be something big or elaborate that I do, but just simple things like that will encourage them to to just continue to think about others. And so sometimes too, we think, even though we are using our words, but for a child that responds to their love language through words of affirmation, we also have to be careful, because what they believe is that we believe what we say. And that's very important, that we believe what we say, because they believe that we believe it. And so if you say these things, but then on the flip side, you're saying negative things, then they start thinking that you don't even believe what you just said about me. And so, because now you've moved to the negative and you're pouring in so much negative words, then they start questioning, like, what you're saying to me? Is it really true? Or you're just saying a lie? Because now you're saying so much more negative words than positive words. And so we want to make sure that we're using more positive words to affirm them than negative words, because they will remember what we say. And I'm going to tell you a brief story. My son, that's 21, he took out this test from when he was like in junior high. And kid you not, he can tell me exactly what the teacher said to him when he got this grade. And it was a good grade. He got the highest grade in his class. He was sitting around a certain group of kids. And the teacher did not believe that he got this grade on his own. She was actually pretty much insinuating that he cheated from the other students surrounding him. And mind you, he got a better grade than the other students that were sitting around him. And she did not believe that he got that grade on his own. And here it is, like 15 years later, that and I'm just exaggerating, that's not really probably the right years, but here it is, and he remembers what she said to her. She said, I don't know how you got this grade, and I don't think that you got this grade on your own. So of all the things that he remember about this teacher, he remembers exactly what she said, and that's what left an imprint on him till this day. And my reason for bringing that up is children, our children that their love language is words of affirmation, they remember what we say. They remember what we say more than what the physical touch that's attached to it. So it's great to touch your child, but for a child that their love language is words of affirmation, they hold on to what you say and they line up what you say by what you're doing. And so this is why it's important for us to speak positive into the children that so that it will fuel their love tank when it comes to words of affirmation. And there's just a lot of different ways that you can do that, like putting a note in your child's lunchbox about how important they are to you and how, you love them and how they're doing such a wonderful job at school. Those little things go a long way for a child that's their love language is words of affirmation. That affirms them. Also, leaving, if you're going out of town and you leave little notes around and just around, like post it on the mirror, post it on their bed, post it in the refrigerator. These little things, we think of it as being simple and, not meaningful as much, but it is very meaningful. Also, it works in when if you are a parent that works early in the morning and you have a support system, so there's someone else in the home getting your child ready for school, even posting the order of the day, like wake up, brush your teeth, get dressed, eat breakfast, don't forget your lunch. Those guidance in words are important. And you will find that your child will actually start out their day very pleasant when those words are provided for them. And even just saying I love you throughout the day and just writing it is helpful for a child and nourishing for them and fueling their love tank. Another thing, especially if your children are older, sending out a text, reminding them of how important they are and to you, and also reminding them of, their qualities and what make them special and unique and how much you appreciate them makes a difference for a child that speaks words of affirmation. And also getting them to fulfill a task. When you say to them, do this, do that, or you need to do this now, for a child that's not fueling their love tank when it comes to words of affirmation, but asking them or, not soft words. There's also a proverb that says soft words turneth away wrath. And that is true, because for a child that words are important, when all we're doing is shouting, they don't hear those words. Believe me, I've had my son that his second love language is words of affirmation. And he's like, but all you're doing is shouting. You don't want me to shout at you, but you're shouting at me. So now the focus is no longer what I'm saying, but the focus is now what he's hearing. And he's hearing my shouting. And so that kind of goes over the words that I'm saying. Whether they're positive words, it goes over it. It just pretty much covers it. And then therefore they miss the words of, encouragement or what I'm saying because I'm shouting. And so we have to try to use soft words because it does turn away anger. Anger is pretty much kind of like the negative and the discouragement. And you know how like a gas tank has a cap to it, but that's how anger is. If you leave that open, all of the fuel, the love fuel that you've poured into your child will just empty right back out. So we don't want to be angry and saying, well, I'm using my words. Why isn't he or she listening? Well, we don't want to be angry, but we want to use it in a gentle way. I'm not saying that there's sometimes that you don't have to change your tone. You do have to change your tone at times, but they will recognize that what those tones and, the various meaning of those tones that come with it. And so, therefore, we also want to make sure that when we're speaking and we're affirming them with words, that we're not doing it angrily and thinking that there's still the message and they're still going to receive the love and feel that we are loving them in that regard. So today, I just want to encourage us as parents by sharing my own experiences and encourage you to, if your child is love language is words of affirmation, to continue to affirm them with your words because it helps them to feel secured and nurtured, and they will grow into secured adults. Take care. Be blessed.